Your monthly subscription box from postflybox.com includes all the materials needed to tie a dozen flies, along with some extra goodies. This wonderful little fly is called an ice scud. Scuds can be found in just about all rivers, lakes, and ponds. They're especially prevalent in weedy or grassy areas, and trout absolutely love them. Begin by getting one of the size 18 scud hooks firmly secured in the jaws of your tying vise. Solder wire is used to add some weight to the fly and to help taper the body. With the coil in your right hand, get hold of the bitter end of the wire in the fingertips of your left. Start taking touching wraps up the hook shank with your right hand. After a dozen or so wraps, helicopter the wire to break it off close. Tuck in the tag end of the wire and position the wraps an eye length back from the back edge of the hook eye. For thread, load a bobbin with a spool of olive unithread. Get the thread started on the hook shank behind the eye. Pull the tag end of the thread rearward along the wire wraps, then make open spiral wraps rearward over the tag and the wire wraps. The tag will help to keep the thread wraps from slipping between the wire wraps. Take thread wraps back over top of the wire wraps to further lock them down. End with your tying thread hanging at about the hook point, then snip off the excess tag. Snip a 3-inch piece of silver wire free from the coil and place it on top of the hook shank at the front edge of the solder wire wraps. Take thread wraps rearward to secure it there. Continue taking thread wraps well down into the hook bend, then back up to in front of the solder wire wraps. Unfold the clear plastic strips and pull the end of one strand free and cut that strand in half at the fold. Place one end of the strip on top of the wire wraps and take rearward thread wraps to secure it. Again, go way down into the hook bend, then return your tying thread back up to the start of the wire wraps. Tease a small amount of olive dubbing free from the packet, then pull down on your bobbin to expose 3 to 4 inches of tying thread. Use the dubbing to create a slender noodle on the thread that's about 3 to 4 inches in length. Start taking wraps with the noodle so the dubbing covers up the furthest back thread wraps on the hook shank. Then make touching wraps forward up the shank to just behind the hook eye. Pick up your tying scissors and use them to trim any wayward fibers from the top of the body. Then sweep any remaining fibers down. Get hold of the plastic strip and pull it evenly over top of the dub body, stretching it slightly as you go. Anchor it behind the hook eye with tight wraps of tying thread, then pull the material back and take a few wraps in front of it to lock it in place. You can then snip the excess off close. Get hold of the silver wire and begin making open spiral wraps up the body. 5 or 6 turns usually looks pretty good. Anchor the wire with tight turns of tying thread, then helicopter to break it off close. Continue taking thread wraps just behind the eye to both build up a small head on the fly and to further secure the wire wraps. Pick up your whip finish tool and use it to do a 4 or 5 turn whip finish, seat the knot well, and snip or cut your tying thread free. If there are any fibers sticking up or out from the body of the fly, snip them off close. Reach for a bodkin and use it to tease out the fibers along the underside of the fly to imitate the legs of the scud. Trim the pulled out fibers off on a line between the hook eye and the point. If any stray or overly long fibers remain, trim them off. Pick up your head cement, here Sally Hansen hard as nails, and apply a small drop to the head of the fly to ensure the thread wraps won't come unraveled and to neaten things up. Use your bodkin to make sure the hook eye is clear. And that's a nice small ice scud. The pattern is especially effective at both dawn and dusk when natural scuds are most active.